I've given you my high-level business-to-business copywriting framework, which is the SPF framework. But now what I want to do is get into the nitty-gritty tactical details. And to do that, there's a whole arsenal of copywriting formulas out there. You can look them up on Google, but what I'm going to do is walk through some of the most effective and most popular ones so that you can make decisions about which is the most relevant for your situation if it's not obvious what you should be doing when you're actually writing out that individual email, that individual advertisement, or that specific post, whatever it happens to be. Now, before I get into these formulas, what I want to say is that good copywriting can seem a bit cheesy when you're using them. It can seem a bit like you're doing an infomercial. Now, when this is particularly true is when you're not part of the target audience. When you hear somebody describe a problem that you don't have, it sounds like a cheesy sales pitch because it's exaggerated, there's emotion agitating the problem, it seems a bit tacky. But if you actually have that problem and this advertisement is speaking to you, your specific pain or your specific aspiration, it doesn't really have that cheesy effect. What it does is it creates empathy because it shows that you actually understand the problem the person's going through, and it creates energy. So that cheesy effect is sometimes it's the energizing that's happened, and it's a bit off-putting when you're not part of the group that the ad or the copy is speaking to. Okay, the other thing I want to say is that typically when you're doing copywriting with these formulas, what you're really selling is a transformation. So what you're trying to figure out is what is the best way to communicate what that transformation is. But I also want to point out that there's a tendency sometimes for copywriters to oversell the transformation. Now, let's say you're selling something like ball bearings or a specific ingredient like sugar. You're not selling something that's going to revolutionize a business, okay? People recognize that these are tactical purchases, they're essential purchases, they're not fundamentally going to transform the business. But even at the functional level, you are selling some sort of transformation, right? Maybe it's an easier way of doing business, maybe it's a smoother sales process. There's some sort of transformation that's happening because somebody switches to your product versus the competitors. It's just going to vary by degree how dramatic or how significant that transformation is. The other thing I want to point out is that you need to know what transformation matters most to the prospective buyer. And the way that you find that out is by doing strategic research. It's not by doing copywriting. If you start with copywriting, you're kind of guessing. You're going to be like, oh, okay, well, they care about this particular benefit or this particular transformation that results from that benefit. But often what copywriters end up doing is because they don't know what transformation actually matters, what the customer actually cares about, what they end up doing is just sort of listing them all. They list all the features, all the benefits, all the use cases, and say, here, oh, it's a smorgasbord of things, so of course you're going to buy it. It's this all-in-one solution. But that's kind of lazy copywriting, okay? So what you should be doing is, if you don't know what transformation, what use case, what creates the most value, you need to do research. You need to talk to the potential buyers, perhaps go so far as to survey potential buyers so you can actually figure out, okay, what percentage of people value this transformation versus another. And then what you can do is you can actually focus the copywriting around that particular transformation, whether it's an aspiration they're striving towards or just a specific problem they want solved. Because chances are that your product delivers a lot of different things, a lot of which don't really matter. The customer maybe doesn't care that much about them because they know that their existing solution or the competing solutions also have those things. But there's probably like 1, 2, maybe 3 things that really make your product transformation. Okay, so on to the specific frameworks. I already talked about one of the tactical frameworks, and that is PAS, Problem, Agitate, Solve, and I recommend it a more elaborate version of that, which is Problem, Agitate, Discredit, solve, and then prove that you can solve. Okay, so I'm going to, in a minute, present 3 other frameworks that you can use as creative strategies. And I want to give a credit to this book called Advertising Strategy. And in this book, what they do a really good job of is not just describing the different creative approaches that are out there, but contextualizing when you should use one versus the other. So a lot of these frameworks didn't actually come from this book, but what I'm getting from this book is the contextualization to know which strategy is most appropriate. So the first approach, and I've reworded these a little bit, so it may not be exactly how advertising agencies and how this book describes it, but this is number one is probably the single most popular creative approach that people take with advertising, particularly when you're doing like big campaigns with big advertising companies. And what it is you have one benefit. This is the main, it's called the big idea in Leo Burnett language, but I'm just calling it one benefit. And then what you do is you support that benefit with multiple reasons to believe, RTBs, that benefit. And usually those are features. So, for example, we save money, and the reason to believe that benefit is because we have feature A, feature B, and feature C, all of which contribute to you saving money, right? You're essentially saying, here's the proof as to why you should believe the benefit that we're talking about. So when would you use this creative approach? Well, it's when the overriding value of your product is one benefit. And it may not just be the product that you're selling, it may be the offer. So your offer could be your demo, could be your consultation, and maybe there's one takeaway from that consultation or from that product. And here are a list of bullet points of reasons why you should believe that transformation will actually happen. You'll actually reap the benefits, reap that particular benefit. All right, now number 2 is essentially the reverse. It's like flipping number 1 upside down. Instead, what you have is one feature. So maybe you have some new invention that has this cool feature, and because you have that feature, there's all sorts of benefits that come from it. Now, this is where there's a bit of disjuncture between common marketing ethos, which is, oh, well, benefits matter more than features, so why are we leading with a feature? Well, it's not always true, right? If you have a highly innovative product that has a groundbreaking feature, then talk about the feature first. And I've run into the situation before, too, where you get in the habit of talking so much about benefits, and then you run across a product where it's like, well, there are tons of benefits, but only one feature. Start with the feature, and then talk about the specific benefits that stem from it. Okay, and number 3 is storytelling narrative, where this is particularly effective when you have a complex value proposition that's very difficult to just boil down to one benefit, one feature. So the way you talk about the transformation that you bring customers is by telling a story. And it could be a case study, it could be a cartoon, it could be a theoretical customer and the story that they're going through. And next, what I'm going to do is show you one type of framework you can use for story narratives. You can look up story narratives on Google. There are more elaborate ones that have climaxes and surprise twists. There's all sorts of things you can do with that. But I'm going to give you just a very simple one, which is before, after, and bridge. So very popular approach to copywriting. What you do is you describe what the situation is like, or what it was like if you're talking about a case study. Then you paint a picture of what the future looks like, what the transformation looks like. And then you use the bridge. So the bridge is usually your product or your consultation or whatever, and describe basically how you get from A to B by going through us, by going through C. Very basic way of selling a story, selling a solution. Okay, another popular copywriting approach, picture, promise, prove, push. So essentially paint a picture of the transformation that the customer desires. Promise them that you're going to hold their hand to get there. Prove it, so you can use testimonials, you can use case studies, you can use quantitative data, social proof to prove that it'll happen. You can use research. Sometimes I use third-party research and peer-reviewed empirical evidence to support why that's the case. And then you push them. You want them to take some sort of action. Now, in this case, you might want to go back to the SPF framework and think about Well, what is it that we're proving, for example? Are we proving that our product is going to create this end scenario of this picture perfect future? Or is it that the product category can do that? Because in a lot of cases, really what you're doing is you're selling the category. So that's why I recommend starting with my SPF framework first, because you need to know what you're selling. Are you selling the product? Are you selling the category? Or are you selling a specific offer, like a discount or a consultation? Because these frameworks can be used to sell pretty much anything, product, a service, an offer, or just the category at large. And lastly, the most popular one, you may be familiar with it already. There's going to be tons of content on Google, tons of examples of this, but AIDA is the classical copywriting framework. Attention, grab their attention, get their interest, create desire, and then once they have desire, you push them to take action.